Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday webinar. My name is Michael Wimberly, and I will be presenting the webinar today. We'll be going over Creo View Express, the free CAD viewer for everyone. So for this one, we'll go through, of course, the standard introduction. So I'll introduce myself, Boundary Systems, brief topic overview, and then, of course, we're going to jump right into the Creo View Express. And then after that, we'll have a Q&A session. During the presentation, if you do have any questions, you can type them into the chat area, and I will get to them. If I don't get to them right away, I will definitely cover them at the end of the presentation. So my name is Michael Wimberly. I am a Boundary Systems Solution Architect. I have been with Boundary Systems for over 8 years now, but I have over 25 years of experience with PTC products. Over 20 years of experience in training PTC products, which includes CAD software as well as the PLM software. Of course, certified trainer, and then the Windchill implementation specialist as well. Boundary Systems overall, first off, we are headquartered in Cleveland, Ohio. We consider ourselves a technology leader, or we are considered a technology leader, because we have partners in multiple arenas. Of course, PTC being one of those, Solid Thinking, eTraj, Autodesk, and other technology companies. So there's a lot of areas that Boundary System actually reaches. We've been the 16th fastest growing company in the greater Cleveland area. We are also a part of the PDSVISION group of global companies. With that, it makes us even a larger global, larger global companies because we have resources across the globe, which allows us to be able to service not just companies that have local branches, but may have facilities in other countries as well. So we have resources that can reach quite a few different areas around the world. Our capabilities include product lifecycle management, data management, CAD design and consulting, simulation, and product development. Now, our overall mission as a company. First is, of course, the goals with our leadership in technology is to have the most technical expertise on PTC products in the world. So we want to cover as much of PTC's products as we can. We have different people that are subject matter experts in the different areas. So if it's something that I don't know, then I will pass you off to the individual that does have expertise in that area. But we have quite a few people that touch a lot of different areas of PTC products. The benefit of that, as you as a customer, is that we can go through and understand what your needs are. So we can have discussions with you as to what it is that you're trying to do and understand where you're trying to get to, which also is the third bullet item, because whatever we recommend to you, we guarantee the success of the solution. So we're not just giving you something to go in and pad our numbers. We're giving you something that we feel is going to benefit you as a company as a whole, that will allow you to get to that next level that you're trying to achieve, which of course is the fourth bullet item, which is of course to decrease costs, decrease time to market, but also at the same time increase the quality of your product. So we want to make sure that whatever we give you, we stand behind it, and we will work with you to get that solution implemented and working according to how we've discussed, that will allow you to get to your next level in your design. So, excuse me, some of the different companies or some different pieces of software that we work with, of course, the PTC suite of softwares. We also have Tacton, Modex, Xformation, eTraj. We work with company ITI for different software solutions as far as integration with other softwares. ZWCAD, which is an alternate to AutoCAD, but much cheaper. Keyshot, Sigmaxum, and then Cimerix. For any of those or more information on those, we've done webinars on the majority of these, if not all of them. You can definitely find them on our website. Links to them on our webinars, YouTube channel will allow you to go in and see the information. If you just want general information about what these pieces of software do, definitely go to our website, boundarysys.com, and inside of there, you'll be able to find links to those different pieces of software. If you do want to contact me directly, of course, you can reach me by email, mwimberly@boundarysys.com. If you have a sales-related question, you can reach us at sales@boundarysys.com. And as I mentioned before, always visit our website. There's a lot of information on there about us, about different pieces of software that we work with, about any software deals that are currently available through any of the different pieces of software that we offer. And of course, anything about or anything relating to any of our webinars that we've created, you can always find us on YouTube. So search for Boundary Systems, find our page, subscribe to our page, and then once you're there, you'll get alerted anytime we upload any new videos to that page. All right, so the first thing, getting into Creo View Express. So the first thing is it's a free download. So you don't have to have an actual PTC account to go in and get this piece of software. So you can go to our website, and I'll show you, we have a link on our website for free downloads. There's also a link on PTC's website for the free downloads. You simply go in, you fill out the information, you can download the software. It allows for the viewing of native Creo files as well as other 3D formats. We'll talk about some of the PVZ files, which can be exported out of Creo View and out of some of the other pieces of software as well. Allows for viewing, of course, of 2D formats as well, such as a DXF file, of course, a 2D drawing file from Creo, a PDF file, a JPEG, anything like that, we can go through and view inside of there as well. Inside of there, when we are looking at files, we can do measurements on those files. We can also go in and view different annotations and markups inside of there as well. So if we have done annotation sets or done our redline markups, you don't have to have Creo to go through and view those. We can go directly into Creo View Express and still view that information. This tool is really great for our vendors, even people in the shop that don't have direct access to Creo or even a license of Creo and don't necessarily need it just to view the files. All they need to do is view the images and what we may have marked up inside of those images, but they don't need to actually go through and create them themselves or even do any manipulation of those particular files. All right, so for this, we're going to go right into the demonstration of Creo View Express. So with that, Creo View Express, when you open it up, it's just like if you've used Creo View at any other level, it works the exact same way. If not, this is the general interface for it. So you'll have your viewable area in the middle. You'll have your viewables on the side, so you can go through and create those. Now, as I mentioned before, files inside of Creo View, and I'm going to use the general term Creo View, but we are talking specifically Express when I'm specifying. If I don't say Express when I'm talking. But as I mentioned before, we can open up native Creo files. So I can go to any of these and I can go in and open up, and here's a simple .prt file. Or here, we'll go to the next level and open up an actual assembly file. And I'm actually opening up the native ASM file from Creo directly inside of Creo View Express. So as you can see over here in the tree, it goes in and shows all the extensions. As I said, these are all native files inside of Creo View. So by default, because it's an assembly, it does not automatically go through and display the information inside of that assembly. Excuse me. So what I can do, what it allows me to do is be selective as to what I'm showing on the screen. So maybe I didn't want to see the entire assembly at one time. I just want to see pieces of it. So I can go through and selectively begin to turn on different pieces of that to go through and populate the screen. Or if I go ahead and select the top level assembly, it will then turn on everything inside of that assembly. So this one is kind of a very simple assembly, and I'll come back to this in a little bit more detail in just a little bit. I do want to open up something that has a little bit more complexity to it. Sorry, I thought I copied it to my directory. And I want to open up, and I'm going to actually open up in this one, I'm actually opening up a viewable. So I mentioned before, yes, I can still open up the actual native Creo file, But for this one, I'm actually going to go through and open up the the actual viewable that I export. Now, exporting of these viewables can be done inside of Creo when we do a save as, and I'll show you that in just a moment. But for this one, I'm going to go ahead and open up the entire assembly, and this will take just a few moments to go through and open up because it is a relatively large assembly. But what I'm able to do with this assembly is, once again, I'm able to go through and use this, and this is just a viewable. So these are not the actual native files from Creo. These are actual viewables that I've gone in and created. So the names that we're looking at here are just simply the names of the exported files. These are not the actual native file. You can see once again at the top, I am looking at the PVZ file. Now the benefit here, once again, is I can come over and select the different sections of that and view them. So as I'm going in and doing that, and I'll find a part that maybe I want to go through and view in a little bit more detail, I can go in and open that up in its own window. So I have this motor assembly selected. I can go through and specify that I want to open that up in a new view. And now it brings up just that assembly in a new view. So once again, I can then begin to manipulate this a little bit more as well. Maybe I want to go through and want to view the inside of this. I can come over here, select this, right click on the screen, and just simply tell it to go in and hide that item. And now it goes in and turns that off. And now I can go through and view the inner workings of this assembly. Same thing here. Maybe I have this one and I want to go through and hide that one as well. And now I can see more of the internal pieces of the assembly. What it's basically doing for us is actually going in and turning those items off from the display. So if I go through and check in the box, it will go through and actually show those things again. I can also go in and simply do an unhide all, and it'll bring everything back inside of here. So this is very simple. I can go back to my main assembly, and the same thing here. I can come over and maybe I want to go through and look inside of here, but I don't want to get rid of everything. Well, I'm also able to go through and move components around. So I can take this component and basically explode it. I'm going to take it and I'm going to drag it. So I'm going to pull it off. Come over and do the same thing with this one. And I can just go in and select on the different components and move them instead of going in and turn them off. And now I can zoom in, view this information as so. Now, if I want to go through and put them back, that's very simple as well. But I can come over and select on the individual component. Up here, there's an option that says restore location, and I can do it for just the item that I have selected, and it'll put that item back. Or I can just come up here and say restore all. So everything that I pulled apart, I can go in and restore everything back to its location. Now, I can also, if I open up multiple assemblies, so I'm going to come over here, and sorry, I want to explode. I want to show that assembly. If I want to see that assembly in another window, I could go through and once again say open a new window. Now I'm just looking at that. Now what I'm able to do is I have these three windows. You can see those up at the top left of the screen. I can actually come over and say I want to see all three of them at one time. And now I can go through and display them all at once. And I simply go between them to view them and manipulate them. And if I decide I don't want that, of course, I can go back to just a single one and then just simply toggle between them individually. All right, now one of the benefits of using Creo View as well, or exporting files from Creo View, is the ability to go in and actually bring in from Creo the different representations that were also created. So I'm going to open up this Chainsaw 220 assembly, and I'm going to go ahead and open up the assembly itself. Now, from here, once again, in this one, if I come over to my viewables, here are all the simplified reps that I created for this within inside of Creo. So whatever I've gone through and defined in Creo, they're here. So if I just want to look at the engine housing, it'll turn everything else off and show me just the components of the engine housing. The gas tank information. So as I go through and I look at this information, it will continue to go in and update my view. Once again, these are the views that were stored inside of Creo. So once again, that information that I'm now pulling to create this viewable, which is the PDZ file, I'm pulling that information directly from the Creo model. And it also goes through and brings out the saved view names from there as well. So whatever views names you have stored inside of Creo, it will also bring those as well. So all this information will once again be translated directly from Creo into Creo View to allow us to go through and still use that information. Now, as I said, with Creo View Express is just a viewer. So all these different things, including, I don't think I have any annotations, but any annotations that I may have created using Creo View Lite or regular MCAD Creo View, that information can also be stored here as well. But what I cannot do from here is create them. So I cannot create a markup inside of Creo View Express. I can view them, but I cannot go through and actually create a markup inside of here. So all my little notes and everything that I would normally have, I can't go through and actually show that, create that inside of Creo View Express, but I can go through and show that. And I forgot to actually pull one of those up that I had. But I've been just talking about CAD files. I did mention as well that we can go through and open up other file types as well. So other file types that I can go through and open, or we're also talking PDF. Now I'm going to open up a specific PDF because this actually works with the Creo View information. So I'm pulling this up as a document. It is a PDF file. And what this does, is it actually goes through and it shows the comparison between the different versions of Creo View. So in Creo View, once again, it shows you here's the Express, the Light, the MCAD, and the ECAD. So we can go through and view these different items. So there's the MCAD, ECAD, 2D formats, PDFs, images, and ISO. But we cannot go in and view our step files, and we cannot view STL files, IGES files, things like that in standard Creo View. And for the other formats, we can't view those in Creo View Lite. We can view step files, but we have to have full MCAD to go in and view those other formats. Then down here at the bottom, once again, where it goes through, I can go through and view a markup in Creo View Lite. Creo View Express. I can create them in the other versions as well. I can do measurements. I cannot do a drawing compare, which is like an overlaying of the drawings inside of there. Display combined states and view states. This is kind of what I was just showing you from Creo, or capture states from CATIA. So if you have captured states inside of CATIA V5, those are also viewable as well. So as you can see, there are some limitations as to what you're able to do inside of Creo View Express. Light also has some limitations, but with Light, you will need to go through and sign up with PTC. You will need to download that from PTC directly. If you have Windchill, then it is downloadable from inside of Windchill under software downloads. But once again, those do not require licenses. So Creo View Express is just a free download, period, even without a PTC account. Creo View Lite, you will need a PTC account in order to download it, but you do not need a license to run it. Once you get into MCAD and ECAD, those require licenses because, as you can see, there's a lot more functionality that is also available. Now, down here at the bottom is also the MCAD format. So we can see for quote unquote Pro Engineer or Creo, we have part files, assembly files, so on and so forth. We have PDSVISION file, which are basically the new formats. And I do recommend that if you are going in and creating files from Creo, use a PVZ file. What that is, it uses the old terminology, which is product view, but you're also looking at it as a zip file versus separate files. So we can go through and actually view that, and then of course the DWG additional files. So there's the 2D formats, DWG, DXF, so on and so forth. Bitmap files, JPEG files, TIFF files, all those you can view, as well as DXF files, as we just mentioned a moment ago. We can go in and do that as well. Now, exporting, that is not available underneath Creo View Express. So you will not be able to export underneath there. You will be able to go through and view different files, but you will not be able to go in and export that information. All right, so there's a simple PDF. So even if it's documentation, we can still go through and view that as well. One of the other, I am looking at questions, so I'm not ignoring your questions, just FYI. One of the questions was also viewing information, parameter-wise. If I do go through and I select on the actual items, it will go through and show if I export the parameters. This doesn't look like this actually has those in them. But yes, I apologize. This does not have the export. Let's see if one of them does that I have. Go into here. Open this one up. Yeah, there's a couple of them. This only has a few, but yes, it will export the actual parameters and their values inside of here as well. So once again, I can go through on the different files. As I mentioned before, the markup, as soon as I do a markup, it's not actually giving me the warning because I've had it up, but I can go in and do my measurements. I can go in and measure distances. Let me remove that bottom pane again. Or I can measure a length. I can just pick an edge. So I can go through. But once again, the difference between this and the other versions is I cannot save this as a display. So this is something that, okay, I want to go through and find out what that distance is. I want to find out what it is from, overall. So I'm going to pick, from here back to, I'm using the control key, to there. Now it's giving me just a general distance. I can come up here and expand it, tell it projection. And right now it's giving me a projection based on my coordinate system. So it does give me that length between there. So I can see this here and the actual value associated with it. So it gives me that, or I can go in and tell it an actual direction by selecting on this, as well as telling it to use these items as planes. So what I'm selecting, use it as a plane versus trying to find a distance from shortest edge to shortest edge, from edge to edge. Or once again, specify, excuse me, an actual projection direction. And I can come over and I'm just going to pick one of these edges as a direction, and it'll just give me that single value. So Creo View, as I mentioned before, is Creo View Express. It is a very powerful piece of software that allows you to go through and view a lot of information. It is focused on Creo as far as the actual data that you're viewing. So once again, native files or exported specific files into Creo View, or for Creo View, I should say. But it does allow you to go through and do it. It doesn't require any licensing or anything for it to go through and run. Nothing special. It just allows you to go through and use this software and view it. So when you are sharing data, whomever you're sharing data with, doesn't have to have a full license of Creo. You can go through and you don't have to give them your native files. I can go directly into Creo, which is what I'll do now. I'll go in and open up an assembly. I'll go into that same directory that I was in, and I'll just open up just this lower part of the assembly. So if I want to give them that, I can still give them the assembly, or I can go into my files, save as, save a copy, and then down here underneath the types is where we go through and specify the type. So inside of here, we will go through and specify the file, give it its name, and go in and create that PVZ file. And it's that simple. Now, once again, I do recommend the PVZ file versus the other formats, or I should say PVZ, or the older format is EDZ. That's an older format of it. It is using PVZ as the primary one now. Once again, it does it as a zip file, so it takes all the items in that assembly and puts them inside of a single file. If you did it as the separate file, then what it does, it creates a single file for each one of the items inside of it. So now if you have a large assembly, it will go through and now create a separate PVS file for each one of those. And that could go in and basically have a whole lot of files, unneeded files necessarily, in your directories. So, all right, so that is some of the basics of Creo View. As I said, is fairly simple to go in and use, to go through and execute. Like I said, you can simply download it and use it directly. There have been quite a few questions that will come through. Let me go through and look at some of these. Let's see, I want to use this viewer, but at the moment, to see only Creo and step files. Most of the common formats are in graphics. Yeah, I would have to find something. So this is talking about viewing other formats. As I just mentioned before, the core functionality for this is Creo and some of its extensions. Let me see if I go back to here. I did have just a snapshot of the different images or the extensions that are available. So yes, we can see that the formats themselves, they are basically Creo, more Creo focused than anything. They do have some of the neutral formats that are available. So yes, then we would have to go through and view something or find something to go in and open up some of the other extensions or file types. Can you view model parameters? Yes, I did show that. Like I said, for the item that I had up, there wasn't a lot of them, but yes, it does still view the Creo parameters. You just have to open up that bottom pane inside of the viewer to actually go through and view that parameter information. The viewer, or I should say that comparison chart that I had, that is available when you're going in and downloading that. If I go in and go to our website, open up the browser, I'm going to go to our specific website. So once again, this is our website. You have the link for downloads. Once you go to downloads, over here will be linked to different areas to download, a bunch of trials or just free software. If you go to Creo View Express, that chart that I just showed you is downloadable from right here. And this is also where you would go through to get a link to download the software. So you would just simply fill in your information, your contact information, submit it. You would then get to a page that allows you to go through and simply download the Creo View Express software. So that is available for download from there. When viewing some DXF files in Creo View Express and adding measurements, they weren't to scale to the original. Is there a way to keep scale? Inside of Creo View Express, there are some options. Under measurements, let me see what some of the defaults are. Yeah. So yeah, you can do, if you go to defaults, units, use same units as the original file when present. So you can go through and specify that, or once again, you can go through and set your own specific units. So underneath and that's in all versions of Creo View. So under options, go to defaults, and under defaults, you'll see the units, and that's where you can go through and use that. Is it possible to check part model dimensions with a single click for non-Creo data, which I have as step in opening Creo? Are you referring to, and this is RAM, is it possible to check part model dimensions? Are you saying existing dimensions, or are you doing measurements? With measurements, it's just like creating measurements inside of Creo. It's between whatever you're selecting. If you're trying to view existing dimensions, they're not going to be there. Now, the only exception to that is if you guys are using model-based definitions. So if you're actually going in and viewing or using model-based definitions now, this information will go through and show that as well. So if you are using that, that information can get translated over into Creo View as well. So yes, it will go through and show the different dimensions this way. But if you're looking to like double click on it and get a modification dimension, that's not going to be available inside of Creo View, period. No versions of Creo View will you actually be able just to kind of double click and see that information. Is it safe to say that any functionality found in Creo View Express? Yes, definitely. And you can also, once again, see that in that chart. So the question, I'm sorry, to recap the entire question, is basically any functionality that we're seeing in Creo View Express is available. Is it available in the higher versions? Of course. This is the lower level of it. And as I said, that comparison chart will show you what else is available at the different levels. The only thing you'll see differences between, and of course that's because of the pieces of software, is when you get to the MCAD versus the ECAD, only because there are things that are specific in ECAD that are not in MCAD and vice versa. So that's the only time you'll see differences. But for the core functionality, a lot of what you want, if you're just doing viewing and you're not trying to store any markups, then Creo View Express is perfect. If you are trying to create markups and things like that, then that's where you'll at least have to have Creo View Lite. Creo View Lite will give you that functionality to be able to save annotations. But there is still some limitations, and as I said, with that chart, we can see what some of those limitations are. Do all seats of Creo have a save as? Yes. Yes. Do all seats of Creo have a save as to PVZ? Yes, they do. That is just a standard format that you can go through and save out as. Yeah, that's not a problem. Where can distributed installs of Creo find the Creo View? Oh, that was the chart. That was the one I just showed you from our website. So yes, you can go through and view that from there. Okay, thank you. What are the differences between Creo View Express and Creo View Lite? That kind of, once again, inside of that chart it shows you, but I'll just tell you just from simple comparison is annotation sets. That's one of the biggest things between the two is doing markups. That exploded view that I did, or when I pull things apart inside of Creo View Lite, I can save it that way. Inside of Creo View Express, I cannot. I can go through and explode all I want to, but I can't go through and save anything that I've done inside of Creo View Express. So that really is one of the core differences between Express and Lite and the other ones, is the ability to go through and store anything that I've done inside of there. Can you create or load animation? I think it can be, yeah, it still should be able to be shown, sorry, inside of Creo View is the actual animation. So the things that you store inside of, or that you create inside of Creo itself, that information can be shown in Creo View as well. Into Creo View, it's more specific extension. Into Creo View, specify most of the extensions into the file open, but cannot open. I'm not 100% sure on what you're asking on that one. I think the name is Claude. As far as opening up the extensions. Yes, you can save in multiple extensions inside of Creo, but no, they are not all accessible inside of Creo View. That's the difference between the functionality. Creo itself, yeah, you can go through and store multiple files inside of Creo, even open other software files, SolidWorks, CATIA, things like that, directly inside of Creo, because that is that software. What we're looking at in the Creo View, we're looking at different viewers. Inside of here, we're not manipulating any geometry. We're viewing it, we're marking it up, things like that, but we're not actually going in and changing anything. So it just has to be able to open up the format that you're looking for. What is the current release of Creo View? It is actually 7. 7 is the current release of Creo View Express that you can actually go and download. So from our website as well as PTC's website, it does have the latest version downloadable from there. Apologies if you already showed this as I was. Could you review measuring dimensions, both parts and assemblies? Sure, I'll do that in just a moment. The measuring information, is Creo View Light only downloadable from PTC directly, or can it be acquired from Boundary Systems? Well, with that, because Creo View Light is more of a controlled software, we could probably get you a link to it, but the core of that is from the PTC website, because once again, that's one of the ones that can be licensed or things like that. So inside of Creo View Light, you also have the ability to go through and access Creo View ECAD, Creo View MCAD as well, if you have licenses. But contact me directly, and we can see what we can do to get you a light version. Can you manually add additional parts in Creo View Assembly? No. We cannot add, not in Creo View Express or Lite. I think there is some functionality in Creo View MCAD. I haven't dug into it, but I did see some functionality as to being able to add something in there, but it's not necessarily like adding it to an assembly. So there is something we can add to the view, but it's not like your regular assembly inside of Creo. I have been using software for a while, cannot get any function in the saving area or save views. Is there a setup? Which version are you using? That's from Mike. You mentioned using the software. If you're using Express, there's nothing. In Lite, you can go through and save out. So you do have the ability to go through and save out or once again, you're looking at annotations, but it also depends on what you're trying to save, because there's still limitations as to what can be saved when you're working in Creo View as well. So I'll bring back up the comparison chart again and kind of go down this one a little bit. Annotations, display. Oh yeah, that's something else right here. If you do have Windchill, then you're not going to use Creo View Express. You will be using Creo View Light. That will be the actual piece of software that you'll use for that is Creo View Light, and that is downloadable directly from Windchill. So once again, underneath quick links, there's a pick in there for software downloads, and in software downloads, you'll find Creo View to go in and download. So I thought it had an option in here that showed you the saving. Does not. So it does show exporting of the different formats that you can go through and export. That's probably the best that we're going to see at the moment. And that's basically being able to export the different files out of Creo View Express. But once again, the export functionality that is available inside of MCAD. That will not be available inside of Express or inside of Light. There are some parts and assemblies. Visible Windshield visualization tab or in Creo View. There are the ones that are yellow cubes. Oh, the yellow cubes. I think you're probably using multiple softwares. Sorry, the question is talking about what's viewable and not viewable inside of Creo View, inside of, well, he's specifically talking inside of Windchill. My thinking is, if I'm thinking of this correctly, is that you're actually using not just Creo, but that sounds like a SolidWorks file. You would have to go through and set up a SolidWorks publisher that will allow those to be visible. If I'm once again visualizing what you're seeing when you're saying yellow cubes, that looks like what I would see when I'm looking at the SolidWorks files. So those will more than likely be SolidWorks files that once again just aren't published inside of Creo View. Express. Yes, you do have Creo View Express. I mean, with Creo View Express, no, you cannot do a save. Yeah, it is strictly a viewer. That is all it is for. Creo View Light has more functionality. Yes. Creo View Light does have more functionality, and no, there is not a cost. Creo View Light is free, but it does, if you have Creo, then you may want to look on PTC's website or look at your software downloads and see if you have access to Creo View. Once again, Creo View Lite, when you install it, as I said, you'll have access to Lite, MCAD, ECAD, but of course, you just simply set yours to Lite, and there's no licenses that is necessary for that. Yeah, get in touch with me if you have any problems with that, and we can kind of step through that and get you to what you need. But no, for Creo View Lite, there is no cost. But once again, if you get into the MCAD and higher, or MCAD, ECAD, then yes, there is a cost. Yes, it can. The question is, can Creo View Lite be used if we do not have Windshield? Yes, it can. That is just a core viewer that is used inside of Windshield. But yes, Creo View itself is a separate download from PTC's website. So you can actually download that individually from anything from Windshield. So yes, you can still use that. But there is a Lite I'm sorry, a Creo View and a Creo View Express as far as software downloads. Let's see. Quite a few questions. I hope I've answered the questions that were asked. Did I miss anybody? Let me run back through them again. Or if there's anything additional. Very good questions, a lot of questions. I appreciate the interaction with this. Okay, yeah, there is that question. I will close this out. We'll go in and open back up. Actually, I'm gonna open up the assembly that I had open. Do this one. Yeah, so for this one, one of the questions that was asked was about measuring. The measurement item on this, once again, you go into markup, and then you just simply come up here to the measurement tools. You can do length, you can do distance, angles, diameter, so on and so forth. If you're doing distance, then this is a little bit different than what you would normally do inside of Creo. What you're doing first, if you notice, is highlighting entire models. What you're doing first is you're selecting the model that you can measure from. So I'm gonna go in and pick this first, and then it gives me the ability to pick the geometry on that. So I'm gonna go over and pick this back surface here. That's my first reference. Then for my second reference, I'm gonna still hold down the control key, and you can see that it's still highlighting the entire models. So I'm gonna come over here and now select on this flange, and now it allows me to pick the face of that flange. So when you're doing measurements inside of Creo View, it's kind of a two-step process. Once again, it's picking the model that you're gonna pick the geometry from first, then pick the geometry of it. And then you're also gonna go through and pick, for the second reference, the exact same thing, if it's not the same model. If it's the same model, then yeah, you can pick as many references on that same model as you want to. But if it's a different model, you have to specify what that model is and then pick the reference on that model. So, and that will give you the dimension that you need from there. So once again, we can see that being the measurement on that. I can have that remain in the display. But once again, because I am in Creo View Express, I won't be able to save this. If I was in Light, then I can save this as part of the view. And not only can I come back to it, but anybody else that I may want to go through and see this can go in and do it, or go in and view it, I should say. And go to defaults, measures. So, and I'm just trying this. I'm not even sure if it'll work. If I apply it, does it change it? Does not change what's there, but if I create a new dimension, and I'm going to go from there to there. No, it didn't update. I'll have to look into that and see why. But I can do that. The only thing I can say that you can do with this is, if you wanted to maintain this or keep this, is really just do a screenshot, do a screen grab. Why does it do minimum distance? Not sure. I think it always just tries to do the closest that it can. But with that, I don't know why that's the default. I'll have to see if I don't think there's a setting to change that. As far as when you're doing your measurements. We can look real quick. Yeah. Yeah, I don't see anywhere to tell it anything different as far as how to go through and do the measurements. So Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I think it's always just trying to show you what the closest two values are between that. But then that's also why in the measurement tool, you also have the nominal, which is just a checkbox. So I can still do distance from here. And I'll just go, since I'm on the same part, from there to there. Minimal distance, but I can tell them to use them both as a plane. And I'll go through and give it to me like so. All right. Any additional questions on anything with Creo View Express? I think I've given you some information as far as Creo View Express, Creo View Lite, some of the MCAD, and even where to get it. As I said, definitely visit our website, boundariesys.com. There's a download there. If you want to go to PTC's website, you can do that as well. And it goes in and shows you that the same information download as well as a comparison chart. So, but definitely, as I mentioned before, if you do go to our website, you can go through and find that information directly on our site. And while you're there, visit all the other areas. So there are services that we have. Here's the different products. So different categories for the different products. So some of the things you saw on the overheads that I presented, you can see those things here as well. So we offer quite a bit, and we'll be going through and doing our workshops. If you want to see what webinars we have coming up, you can view that as well. You can see what's coming up. So this is the one that we're in right now. We'll have some additional ones coming up soon, of course. Every week we have a webinar, so you'll be able to go and attend any of our webinars that we have. The question is, can you make all transparent? I can hide, but I don't. Transparency like it is inside of Creo, I don't think that is available. I mean, there's a transparency, but that's because that came directly from Creo, so it can show that. But as far as changing colors to make, other items transparent, I don't see that being an option. Yeah, so I can hide it, I can show it, I can isolate it, anything like that. But as far as the display itself, I can't go through and change that to just being transparent. So. All right. If there are no additional questions, we will. So we've been through the questions. Once again, we are doing training. We are doing training as it's feasible on site if possible, if that is agreed upon. But of course, we still do remote training. So we do remote. So we can go through and do it through GoToMeetings. We do it through Zoom, or whatever's necessary to go through and do it, whatever's applicable for your company. We can still do training online. We can still come on site, once again, if that is something that is feasible on site, but we are still doing training. So you can definitely check our website for upcoming training as well. Should have showed you that one too. Or if you have questions on training in general, we can come to you. We have general classes that we're running that you can become a part of. All those things, whether they're Windchill specific, we are looking at Windchill 12 training as well, but we are still, of course, doing Creo training as necessary as well too. So we're still doing training on the whole gambit of PTC software. So definitely check our website for that. Or if you have any direct questions, you can contact me directly. You can also go to support or email support@boundariesys.com or sales@boundariesys.com. And of course, you can go to support.trainingptc.com to actually view our schedule, and that'll take you to our training schedule as well. So if you do have any additional questions or anything comes up, feel free to contact me, mwimberly@boundaryassist.com. Technical questions, general questions, whatever it may be, definitely reach out to me. You can also reach sales@boundaryassist.com for any sales-related question, as well as visit our website. And to answer your question, yes, we do have questions. I'm sorry, have training for expert mode-based extension. So if you have questions on that, definitely reach out to me as well. We do offer training in that. But visit our website, visit our YouTube channel for this. This will be on there within the next day or so. And any other previous webinars that we've done are also available on our YouTube channel. So once again, visit there. You'll find a lot of information on there as well. So at this time, I want to say thank you for your time. Look forward to doing the next presentation for you guys to be on it as well, and have a great rest of the day. Thank you all.